Hey up YouTube, I'm Eric, thanks for clicking on the video, and I'm back again with another Loonaverse quick explainer. In this video, I'll of course be explaining why Yves and Choerry have bubbles floating around their arms. Now if you do end up liking the video, please do leave a like, it really does help support the channel and makes it easier for others to find too. That being said, if you like what I do here and want to see more videos like this in the future, considering how to subscribe button, I'm of course breaking down the entire PTT music video, explaining what I can and connecting it to my Loonaverse timeline. But let's talk about these bubbles. During Yves and Choerry's scenes, bubbles can be seen floating around their arms. Despite what Zsunder said, these are not frog eggs. That would have been an absolutely mental thought that Yuzhen the frog. Moving on! As I mentioned in the previous video, Yves' new music video outfit is actually a big hint to where to start to look to find evidence to why there are bubbles around her arms. So, let's go back to Yves' new music video. And just in case you missed it from last video, there's this scene in the new music video where Yves plays on the claw machine. Now, take a look at what she's wearing. Red top with a blue jean skirt, hinting that the Odd Eye Circle members have influence here. As the scene plays out, we get to see her arms. And what do we have here? Pearls around her arms. Pearls. Pearls? Pearls. Pearls. Interesting. Maybe another time. Now if we move forward in the video, we see Yves give the claw machine money. But notice the red, blue, and purple lights. Again, referencing the Odd Eye Circle. What's also interesting is the stuffed animal she pulls from the machine. The first is a frog, I talked about that in the previous video, but the other is an owl. Kimlip's symbolic animal. Yes, this is an owl. Despite the many of you that thought that this was a penguin, this was confirmed as an owl in LOONA TV 243. But when she goes to retrieve the owl, it's an apple. And perhaps it's the same apple as the one she gives to Choerry to give to go on. This is why I think Choerry also has bubbles around her arms, to show that direct link to Yves. Now you understand why there's this scene with Kimlip, Go On, and Yves. It was to reference that sequence of events. But why specifically bubbles? Perhaps one of our member symbolic animals could provide an answer. Well, that would mean someone would have to possess the ability to control water. We don't have anyone that could possibly... Yup, dude, that joke for like the third time. Very creative jokes here. Be sure to like the video. Zsunder's symbolic animal is a blue betta fish. Blue bettas do blow bubbles, though it's typically the males that do that. But females sometimes do too. They create bubble nests, and typically this is for reproduction. So, were those frog eggs mentioned earlier supposed to be betta eggs? Very interesting idea and could explain why Odd Eye Circle have their mirrors. Anyways, yeah, Zsunder. She would have the power to control these bubbles. She stopped the rain during the Why Not music video, and they appear just as floating orbs. And that is why the new Moon teaser shows stills of floating water droplets. But now comes the question, why Choerry? Why Yves? Choerry's explanation seems as simple as it gets. Choerry is a part of Odd Eye Circle and shares one of Zsunder's powers, so that could explain why Zsunder has bubbles around Choerry. But Yves? This one is a tricky one, because there hasn't been a direct interaction with these two in any of LOONA's music videos so far. Right? Wrong. The only time I could find these two interacting with each other in some way was in the So What music video. In the subway car, along with Heejin, Hyunjin, Choerry, and Olivia Hay. But that still doesn't answer the question, why does Zsunder have bubbles floating around Yves? That scene in So What was the only time Zsunder and Yves had interacted in some way in the music videos. But what about outside the music videos? Could there be something that somehow links these two? What is that? Zoom in? Enhance? I think we found our link. That looks like the same book Yves was reading throughout the Heart Attack music video. In fact, it is the same book. Penguin number 1009. Aphrodite Means Death by John Appleby. 10 for Chu, 09 for Yves. Also doubling the 1009 gives us 2018. The debut year for LOONA. Thank you to the mad lads on the r/LOONA subreddit for that from 2 years ago. What the book is about doesn't seem to hold much significance to the Loonaverse itself, though the setting is in Greece, and the pillars in the PTT music video in the observatory seem to be Greek Doric style. But back to Jinseo and Yves' link, there was also a picture from Yves' solo album that had two heads that were colored blue and like a lightish purple. The blue one was just in the background, but the light purple one Yves was holding. If you want to know more about why that is, I pretty much explain it in this video, but back to this book in the Loonaverse, which member had the book first is entirely unknown, but for the sake of this video, let's assume Jinseo had it first. What I think how the story goes is that the events that happened during the heart attack music video is after Yves returned to Eden. So she's already met Vivi, she knows about the Odd Eyes, she gave Choerry the apple for Go On, and now she's back in Eden with all this knowledge. How I see Yves ending up possessing the book from Jinseo is that Choerry told Kimlip and Jinseo about Yves. So Jinseo found Yves before she returned to Eden and gave her this book, guiding her on how to get her friends out. And so these bubbles show that connection between Jinseo and Yves. But of course, this is just my interpretation of why there are bubbles around Yves and Choerry. That's all I have here for today. If you liked the video, please do leave a like. It really does help support the channel and allows other theorists to find the video too. If you like what I do here and want to see more videos like this in the future, hit that subscribe button. I'm of course bringing down the entire PTT music video, explaining what I can and connecting it to my Loonaverse timeline. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.